It's browsing. Here we go to the me I was. Gisèle V.I.S.I.B.L.E, author. Welcome to the show. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. How does it feel? Like, this is kind of cruel because listen to these guys. Gisèle didn't receive her book yet, but I did before her. So she's looking at her book from away, and she's like, I want it. It would be nice if we could do this, grab it from the screen. So how does it feel, Gisèle? Tell me. We're live. The book is here, and you're with me. We're together.
Yeah. It's still a little surreal because I haven't touched it, I know others have received it, and have shown it to me, but not having touched it yet, it's still kind of surreal, I think. So, yeah, I because I ordered as many as I did, not just for me. That'll make a big difference. That will make, and plus getting messages from people, obviously, who have heard that I've done it. That's also, the support's been so awesome. So awesome.
I love it. So if we go to, like, it's so many pages of, it looks easy when you look at the book like that, but we know, you and I now, we share that experience that writing a book is a journey in itself. And so, Gisèle, I wanted to bring you here so that we can share a little bit about how you went from dreaming, first allowing yourself to reconnect with an old dream of yours, to write a book and make it happen in the last 6 months, right?
No,
Even less.
no, a little more than that. No,
Okay.
about 6 months. About 6 months.
6 months, yes. So maybe we could start where did we meet? Can you share with the audience where we met? So that, because it goes along.
Yeah. It was, let's see, at least, how long have I been back? I was living in Fredericton. We were doing similar jobs as communications people in the government. I knew you from that. We crossed paths. I think we had coffee a few times. Then I left Fredericton and moved back to Sudbury. And I always, I'm not sure how, but I kept a connection. And I think I do know. I think I tried network marketing once.
Okay.
Not a network marketer, but I did reach out to you to see if you'd be interested. And you were quick to respond that wasn't your gig, and I totally understood. It wasn't my gig either. I found out pretty fast. So there was, and you know what? You got to believe things happen for a reason. I kept a connection with you. Then I watched a bit of your journey, and when I saw the mind magic part, it clicked with me. Because I had been reading, I had all the theory down pat. I've done I've seen psychologists, I've seen social workers, I've seen psychiatrists. So I had the theory in my head about the mind and the importance of the mind and what you need to do to manage depression. But I never actualized it, is the way I explain it. You can know all this stuff, but until you do make the changes that you need to make, you're still just talking about theories. So when I saw that, I connected with you. I was in a downward spiral for about 5 months in 2023. And I knew that I had done everything my self-help book library is like I could open a store. So I knew I had to do something different. And so I connected with you, and that was in November 2023.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Remember?
And then I joined and worked with you. And this is what made the difference for me. And then during that journey, dreams, what you dream you want to do. If it's a business, if, you know, a lot of your clients, it might be a business. For me, the dream was more the book, that I had always wanted to write a book. Again, things happen for a reason. I couldn't have written this book until I had done the work I did. I had to believe in myself to be able to write this book. And so, having done that work on my beliefs, having done the work to change my thoughts, I was able, slowly but surely, and it was a process. The first time I was writing, I kind of blocked and said, you know, is this really going to work? Do I really have that much to say? But the more I opened that relationship with myself, the more I could talk about it from a more healthy place. I wasn't blaming anybody anymore. I was reflecting on how I did what I had to do to get to my dream. So that's and we worked for a year, and within that year, you introduced me to an editor who helped me with this, and kaboom,
Kaboom! Kaboom!
kaboom, there she is. Yes.
Like,
So yeah,
let's take a minute. Like, I have shivers all over my body. Like, this is
it's a
this
great
is
story.
this is just, you know that I'm all about amplifying women's voice online and offline, and you are the embodiment of that journey. But first, you had, as you said, you had to give yourself permission to see yourself and
Mm-hmm.
tether from the judgment you had all over you. Like, we worked a lot, and we all are like that. We're judging ourselves so much, whether it's in business, like when we take a photo of ourselves, when we're on videos, when we talk to someone, should I said too much, blah, blah, blah. And then when you get to the book, because we will go deep on why you wrote the book, because basically, and I love that, because I always say is that my clients are the ambassador of social media love. You wrote this book to amplify women's voice as well, and we will go deep on what is your dream around this and why. It's just the beginning of it. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I want to say this to all of you, and Gisèle, you can add, like, anything you have in your heart, even if it's been 20, 30, 40 years that it was in your heart, and you kind of, oh, that has expired. There is no way I'm going to do this now, whether it's to write a book, find the love of your life, or get the house, or do the trip, or set up the business, whatever it is. Can you borrow this time that we see us together here as a proof that whatever you desire is meant to land in your reality if you help yourself with
Mhm.
kindness, with starting to love yourself, which is a journey I did, that the journey you did, and we're still doing it, because guess what? We're doing this until the end of our life,
Mhm. Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. No, for
Giselle,
sure.
how did you feel it in your body, like the unlocking, at some point, like when you felt that you were able to become aware that you still had this dream, and the new thing was, it was possible for you now.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can help describe how does that show up in your body or in the way you feel and all the
Yeah.
things.
Well, it happened again during that period of time when I felt very low in 2023. I noticed, and I was 64. I was depressed. That my life journey had this gray cloud that followed me, and I thought to myself, this isn't right. It's not right that that's the way it turned out. And by learning about myself, I realized nobody can change that except me. And that's why the work was important to do. I could have written the theory of depression and managing depression, but I could finally talk about the journey because I had done it, and seen, I saw how the journey to the book happened by looking within. And I want every young woman to understand that you don't want to wake up at 63 or 64 and say, oh, darn, that's too bad. I mean, the divorce is what stayed with me. And so that's kind of where the story, I mean, the story begins earlier than that. But what happens to us in our life? We can control how it stays in our head. And I think that's the essential part. I'm going to give the example of the divorce because I had once thought, I wish he would meet somebody and leave. When he left, I went to abandonment and rejection. That's where I went. And that's what went in here. And that's what ran my life until I did what I did. That's not okay. Yeah, it's just not okay. I had to learn to love myself and be able to say it. I had to believe in myself. And when I did it, I just could not help but want to say it out loud, I guess, is how the book came to be.
I love this, Gisèle. I think we talked a lot, you and I think you never expressed it that way yet. So I'm like listening to you. I just, yeah. Oh, okay. So let's go there. Like when we started to work together, you had the idea of a book from a old dream. And then you were also talking a lot about how you feel attracted to meet more younger women so that you can have this conversation about the fact that you are the master of your mind, of your body, that you can make your choices and all the things you wish you had known before. So you want to have this conversation, and it's like intergenerational conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started even to meet more like students, like randomly when you were walking the dogs, because let's say this right now, Gisèle is a dog lover.
Big
She's a dog
time.
sitter,
Yeah.
and she also has a business. We didn't say all of this. This is the woman, and please read the book because you'll learn so much more about her international dimension as well. So, tell me more about how does it feel, like since you studied the book, you told a few students from the university where you live that you met that you were writing a book and you were impressed by their answer. Could you share that story with us, like kind of bring me back to the very beginning of when you started to write the book and meet actually your ideal, the person, the younger Gisèle that was on the campus that day?
Yeah, exactly. Two young women, and I'm not sure how we got to the point of talking about me writing a book, but I think I said I saw them twice, I think, walking, two of them, and I had a dog and I was walking the dog, and of course one of them just loved dogs as well, so that conversation started, and I said, you guys are really doing something healthy for yourselves by walking every morning. I said it's a good habit to pick up. And one of them, I think, said, well, it's a question of survival, or we walk for our health. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting because I'm writing a book about that kind of thing and what I wish I could tell my younger self. And that was kind of the story, is that I wanted to tell my younger self this story. And so these two women were examples of my younger self. And one of them, when I started talking about what the book entailed, one of them said, oh my God, that's exactly, because I talked about how my mind started shifting when I started dating. Before dating, I'm going to say I was a rock star, maybe not, but I was doing stuff and I wasn't thinking of, what do people think, whatever. When I started dating, it opened up that floodgate. And this one woman, young woman, said, that's exactly the same thing as me. And that's what gave me, it's that kind of response that gave me the energy to keep working on this book. It's and the support I'm getting now, and what I'm hearing from young women, actually even from a friend, an older man in Sweden, it is stuff that you should know about the power of the mind and your capacity and your responsibility to build your life. The world doesn't owe us anything, and that's not a. I don't say that like, oh, the world is awful. We need to build our movie. We need to build our life, and so we should be thinking about what you want to do, what dreams do you have, and having that build within yourself as early as possible. You've got guideline, or you've got a direction you can go to, rather than kind of floating around and being influenced more by the outside world. People are going to come and go in your life. So if you have your dreams, they can still come in and out, but your target is still the same. I changed my target. I didn't have a target. It was it turned out to be getting married. So that's really important. I mean, I don't know that anybody sits these people down, but young people, dream. You've got to dream. They don't have to, I mean, you can change them as you move forward. But if you don't have a target that you want to reach, you'll end up somewhere where you may not want to have been, or may not want to land. So these two young women were exactly the people that, because one of them was struggling. She had nobody to talk to. Her father, depression wasn't something they talked about. She was listening to positive, messages. That's exactly what I wanted to introduce to young women. That's really that story.
And Gisèle, that kind of validated your project, and you were like, okay, there is no time to backtrack, because believe me, when you write a book, there are many times you're like,
Yeah, he's saying, who am I? Who am I to be writing a book? But the end result and the feedback so far, I hope it will help not just young women to understand their power, and to take the time to think of themselves as whole and beautiful and important. So it's so critical to come from that place. I was controlled by my outside world instead of my inside world. So that's important.
Okay, awesome. So you involved other women in your book. So you guys, and I'll put the link to the book in the comments around those videos. Tell me more about the project and the why behind the voices that you added to kind of illustrate and expand the message in your book, Gisèle. Would you mind to tell us what was the motivation and what it felt like to bring other women to share your message?
I think the first thought around a book was to have a time capsule of messages for young women. I love the idea of time capsule, where people dig things out that come from previous years before them. So that's the idea I had. I wasn't sure I was going to tell my story, but when I started writing, it was about my story. And when I would tell women I know that that's what I was doing, when I explained it as I'm talking to my younger self, they said, "Oh my goodness, would I have things to say?" And so I knew that adding other women's messages to their younger self would touch on different things as well. So it's more than my story. It's because obviously there are a lot of women who are thinking the same thing. I probably could have had a lot more of those messages, and who knows, maybe in the future that'll happen. Uh, but it became a really lovely part of the book. And it just shows that it's common. I mean, all women probably have lived a similar experience over the course of their journey. There are 7 women contributed, and Angélique, you're one of them. And it just strengthened the message that, young people don't want to listen to their parents, so don't tell me what to do, and I get it. I was told not to get, I know, it was suggested I not get married. I didn't listen to my parents. I probably should have. But coming from this angle, it's not about what the parent is telling you. It's about you recognizing that you are responsible for your life. If you're not happy, and I am not talking about you have to be happy all the time, and it's not that, but if you're feeling lost or you don't know where you're going, those are conversations that are super important to have at the earliest stage of your life. And so that's the whole reason for the book, is that you can't blaming the outside world for your miseries in life will just amplify the misery. The world, and these days, the world is even more cray-cray. You've got to take ownership. I blamed for a long time. I blamed. The journey with you allowed me to take that blame away and explain how if I had had the information that I now have, would have changed my life in a big way. Not that life would have been easy necessarily, but I would have understood my responsibility in defining who I am and what I want from life. Super important.
Gisèle, thank you so much for sharing so much. Basically, you are like, I want us to take a little bit of time about the feedback you're getting and the insights you're getting. But from what I understand, and I would love for you to give examples of what you've heard so far, you are giving permission to other human beings, mostly women right now, to look back at their life with another set of eyes, from a place of love, from a place of, letting go of resentment towards yourself for letting these things happen, things you didn't want to happen to you, and revisit them, not relive them, but revisit them with almost like a big filter of love, so that you can move on and actually actualize your dreams, like writing a book and other things. Like, Gisèle, if you allow me, like, even on your private, like, you started to do things that you wanted to do for a long time, and now, like, you love, like, Gisèle loves singing, dancing, And now you're back at that because you are loving yourself so much more. You showed yourself that you can do anything you want, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are someone who loves dancing, just go dancing. And so I just love the ripple effect of, it's not just the book, it's becoming, embodying the woman that you desire of being. And I just wrote a book about this today. Not a book, a post.
Holy moly,
Every day.
you're good.
Like, who are you every day that is actually the woman you want to become? And it's not just in the future. And that's the work we do in Magic with Social Media Love that you refer to, is starting to feel like the woman in your vision. And we're not talking about 5 years from now, we're talking like 12 months from now. The woman in your vision, how does she hold herself? How does she speak? How does she feel? And how to cultivate those emotions so that you teach your mind and your body that it's safe to become the woman in your vision. And you had to learn to teach your nervous system to feel safe. And we've done, like, we had sessions while you were writing and working with Laura, who is our amazing editor and publisher. But as we were meeting, like, some of the sessions were like somatic work. Like, how do I teach my body that it's safe? Like, I'm doing a massive thing that is completely outside of my normal, outside of my familiar, outside of my comfort zone. So it's really, I was always saying this morning, you got to bring your body with you in the adventure, otherwise it will stop you, and it uses fear to stop you, right? So that's why we learn to dance with our fear. So we've danced a lot of fears together, Gisèle, and I'm just so proud. And you're still experiencing some fears, because when you tell me what you think, but I feel it's very new for you. It's 3 days, right? But here's what I felt personally. Once the book is out there, it's not yours anymore. It is whatever people gonna pick in the book that makes sense for them. And that's why I would like you to share a little more about what are the freshest feedback you got, or people who reach out and told you, thank you for writing this, or the question that came up, if you don't mind to share without naming anyone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're still young in the review process and people reviewing it. We're still early in people reading it. But so far, what I'm loving is that older women are saying, oh my gosh, I relate to so much that you wrote, which comes back to what I said. I'm not alone in having asked my question, what have I done with my life, and how do I how do I feel about the way I lived my life. It's a little complicated to explain.
Yeah.
However, so I've had that kind of comment. Oh, I see myself in what you've written. Other people have said, thank you for being so open and honest and vulnerable in writing this. And I guess that part was probably the scariest part, is that I do open up to my journey that a lot of people don't know about. So, and what, actually a man wrote, a friend of mine, male, I read it and said, this isn't just for young women. I learned so much reading it. Yeah, it's interesting. If you don't know yourself, you can't expect your partner to know you. And that's important. That's important in relationships. If you're going in there undefined. So I think this was what the gentleman was dealing with, what I was referring to, having learned what a woman lived and why what could have been different for her. We've known each other for over 20 years. He was able to read it as many women, not just me, but Oh wow, that's an interesting. It's interesting to find out about the power of the mind, and so I was kind of pleased with that because yes, the target is. And I got another one where the review talks about how for 20-year-olds it'll be important. It's the book is important for 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. So she did the gamut of women. Whereby reading this book, it might, like you said, you'll find something in it that wakes you up to something you might want to do differently. I don't think I'm the first person who didn't love herself. In fact, I'm sure. So, they'll see that, and that's the number one. Thoughts. I talk a lot about thoughts. You have to kind of stop and realize that what you're thinking is what you're feeding your brain. You think first, then you feel. So if you're saying things like, oh, I think I'm ugly, I think I'm not the right size, well, that's what you're feeding your body and your brain. That's what has to stop as soon as possible. I talk about how grooves in your brain become canyons if you wait as long as I did. Small grooves can be worked on and are easier to change the younger you are. But you got to first realize that what you feed your brain is what you become.
So talking about the brain, Gisèle, I want to ask you a few questions around, the work that you and I did together, that I do with most women entrepreneurs. And it's how we are our own limitations because of the thoughts we think, because of the kind of the emotional addiction that we feel every most hour of the day. I always give the example that before I studied this work, which was now almost 5 years ago, I could spend 14 hours a day in worry. So if you are feeling worried all day, guess what you're thinking and what you're doing or not doing, right? So it's the whole system around how we reconnect with our dreams, reconnect with who the f we are, and how do we reverse engineer that, because as human we have a brain and there are two type of mind. We have the subconscious mind that runs the show. 99% of what we do is automated. And then the other part is the part that, like, oh no, I want to change my mind, I want to learn this. And so that is deep inside of us and it has imprinted our nervous system. Everything is marked and imprinted from those old thoughts, old beliefs that don't even belong to us, or experiences that we had before that kind of shaped who we became, and the adaptive behavior we put in place so that we don't go and live that moment again. We talk about trauma here. So everything is encompassed, right? So at first, what is the relationship between that type of work and writing a book, or that type of work and growing a business? It has everything to do.
Yeah,
And I just want you to share a little bit about how did the work we do in Magic with Social Media Love really help you untethered so that you could make something very tangible happen that was in fact one of your biggest dreams.
Well, I do, and I mentioned in the book, I had to change some beliefs that I carried with me my whole life. I believed I wasn't worthy of great things. I never celebrated things that I did, so I had to work on writing a belief that would override that garbage. So yeah, I had to. I believe, or I write them in the book. I don't know. I don't have them handy, but my voice matters. It's safe to ask for what you want. You matter. That kind of thing. So, and literally, it is it's copy paste over garbage. So I had to repeat it, and trust me, affirmations was something I thought was not real or not helpful. That's exactly what is helpful. You have to retape that stuff that you've been saying to yourself. Thoughts aren't always true, and that's important to know. So you're giving yourself permission to look at a thought and say, is that really true? And then to change it when you realize, where did I pick that up? Where did I pick up that I wasn't worthy, or that I wasn't lovable, or and that's, you live experiences that create those thoughts. But when you realize, like if somebody says something to you and it hurts you, you learn that those are their words. That has nothing to do with you, because you know who you are. And that's critical. The brain, the mind, the nervous system. I don't talk about how to go about it, but I say go and study it. Go find out about the mind and the body and the nervous system. And we should be learning that in schools, really. I was able to do it with a coach like you. It's like learning a new sport. I believe to see, psychologists, and they've helped me through my life. But I had to have somebody follow me for a period of time and show me how to change that way of thinking. You need seeing somebody once every 3 months is you're counting on yourself to do all the work in between those sessions. We talked every week, and that process. I would put life coaches in every school. That process is so important to recognize that, and to nip it in the bud, before you create this pattern in your brain, in your mind, that is detrimental to doing what you want to do with your life. That's what I think.
Yeah, and that's, I think you talk of the power of affirmation, and I think the big difference with affirmation in the work we do is that the affirmation is a thing of the mind, but we transfer it to the body. Because the body, when we say the body, is the nervous system. How safe does it feel to your body? Because if you say an affirmation that is not resonating with your body, it won't last. And that's how the work you've done beautifully is that to really start believing what is a thought is a belief is a thought that you repeat so much that now it's imprinted in even your cells. So that there is no way you would have published the book by still believing you were not enough, right? Or that your voice didn't matter. You came to a point where your mind and your body were aligned that we have one life. You have a passion, you want to share your story, you want to share your voice because you know that your story matters for someone else. And that community you're building around the book, around that topic, is just like, that's what we call magic. You created this from that deep seated desire inside of you. I want you to see that.
Yeah. No, again, the support is really important, but I need to pat myself on the back and tell me what I did was important.
And celebrate. We've done
and celebrate.
a lot of celebration.
Yeah, you're going to bring out your woo.
And I think it's time to celebrate again. So we need to shake, and put music and whatever. Yeah. Like, Gisèle, I know you're in the middle of the launch, but I want you to celebrate yourself. You're going to tell me what you're going to do. It could be anything, but it's, we have a tendency to check the mark. Done, done, done. And this is why, when we have a big win like that, a big successful achievement, there is a tendency that our body, like if we don't take the time to integrate it in our body, then this is the first disconnection with our body. Like we're continuing and we're ignoring what happened. And even when you are fully successful and something
Mm,
magic happened, not magic, you made it happen, but
yeah.
um, it's making room in your body to receive. And what I find, and you'll see what your journey is going to be like each time people are going to reach out to you and tell you the impact of your book on their life. All me was like, well, diminishing it. Instead, is learning to receive,
Yeah.
because we cannot control what other thinks of us. It's none of our business. And even when they think amazing thing about your book or not, it's receiving that, okay, I did this, and it's landing on that person that way, and just not judging it, not trying to diminish it, undermine it.
Yeah,
It is.
I did it. Actually, that's good. I saw somebody the other day and they said, "Congratulations for writing a book." And I said, "Well, I couldn't have done it without the coach and the editor." She goes, "You wrote the book, you know, stop it." And that's, yeah, you talk about the body. I lived in my head. I lived in my head. I didn't allow my body to feel because I was hurt so much. So again, that's a story that I think will resonate, and I hope resonates with young people. Living in your head is not a healthy way to live. It's, I mean, no, it's not, period. You need to feel. But again, that starts with thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, there is so much we could talk about all day. I love it. I love it. So tell me, Giselle, before we go, if you some of our people are going to watch the replay. If you were to kind of advise someone who is considering to join Magic with Social Media Love, we have 2 cohorts a year now. Every time, the women like you said yes, they have massive transformation. Sometimes they don't know what's going to be. Like, you didn't come to me to write a book, you
No,
know?
no, no.
It was just, so you never know. And that's when you're open to the unknown. This is when you surrender to the truth of who you are, whether you're a business owner or not. And this is when you become visible to yourself, right? And then that's when you start becoming visible to others, only when you start becoming visible to yourself. So I just want to ask you, who should hire me and be part of Magic with Social Media Love based on what you have experienced?
Oh, I think um, anyone who questions their worth, anyone who wants to explore their potential and their dreams, um, this is the journey you have to make. It's being accountable to yourself is important. But again, I go back to the sport. If you want to learn something, you need to have someone who has done what they're going to teach you to do. They have had to do that journey. And that's why I ended up with you, is that I saw that you had done that journey. And so I trusted that you would be able to work with me to get there as well. You don't want to wait until, I just think it's essential once you understand that you run your life and you're responsible for your life. If you're not there, then work with a coach who will get you there, because your life is so important. And I always worried. I had trouble asking for help as I was growing up. I just thought, I don't want to be judged, or I don't want to open myself up to being criticized. If I'm not able to do it, I shouldn't do it alone. If I can't do it alone, I shouldn't do it. that's the wrong way to think. What I admire with you is that you've created a network of women. We're not taught really to work with other women, not in my generation. You always felt there was, well, maybe just me, a little bit of competition there, you know. A network of women who can talk about this stuff is really important, and you bring that with you when someone works with you, and that's you learn, you see other successful women having to have done what you did in order to get to where they want to be. That's a little complicated, but it's that's the essential part. Um, yeah, recognize if you're not there, if you're not um, thinking or loving yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, if you're lost, if you don't know what you want, this is the kind of work that will get you further into your dreams, I guess is the way I'd put it.
Love it. And then the last question I have for you, now that you know what you know, right? Because we don't know until we know. What are people missing out on if they don't join a journey like Magic with Social Media Love? How would you explain that?
Oh, that's a tough one, because first you have to, that's why I say learn about thoughts, learn about beliefs, learn about the nervous system. And this is, I mean, what you offer takes you through that. So, and everybody could probably benefit from it. I mean, we have these counselors in schools that talk about where do you want to go to university, college, what do you want to, we need to back up and build people, build stronger minds, I guess. We need to give people the tools they need to build a life that they want. Again, I started with this. The world doesn't owe us anything. So do the work so that you can take control of your journey. And this was it was a really good way to do it. And that it's accessible. It's a process where the availability is there all the time. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, again, I've done a lot of therapy and on retreats, and I've done, the difference is that I had a coach to watch over me over a year, without these 3-month blocks where you don't talk or you don't, that's really important. To learn anything is you go to an expert if you're going to learn anything. Well, you're an expert in mind, brain, nervous system, and the importance of it. So yeah, that's the way I'd explain it. Go to someone who has the expertise to take you through that journey. I don't think it's not something we learn. We don't learn it.
Well, we're changing this because that's my mission. One woman at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and being being the walking the walk with you. You know, as you said, you know, I do the work as you do the work, and we that's what makes the beautiful community we are in. I think because when we start to walk together, then when one rise, the whole thing rise, right? So I like how you talked about the network of women that we've building together. So thank you for sharing this, because you know I could say how much it's important to work together, but you're the best one to share with others because you have even more proof now.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's absolutely true. I struggled with it. I thought, oh, I've only got this many pages written. Maybe I don't have enough to say. And
Yeah,
Um,
you got to believe so beyond the moment. Like this is the work we do, is to believe before you have any proof that it can work,
mm-hmm,
which is the
mm-hmm,
complete reverse. Most human wants to see, show me the proof and then I'll buy from you. Show
yeah.
me this and I'll go there. Show me that it works. Show me that it's true. Show me whatever. Everything we want to check, our mind wants to check proof of it. So
Mm-hmm,
that's what people call manifesting, is believing it's true now before you have any proof in your reality. And that's when you collapse time. Like, I mean,
mm-hmm.
writing a book in 6 months, some people spend a life
Yeah.
trying to write one. You had to decide that it was good enough because you are worthy to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
so proud of you. Like,
thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think it's slowly sinking in. um,
yeah.
I just, I've always wanted to be heard, I guess. I always felt that it was important to know what I'm sharing. Because I know my life would have been different had I known. I know it would have been.
But we would not have had a beautiful
Not
book.
completely. I shouldn't say complete. I had a great career. I had a lot of fun. And that's the funny thing, is that all the wonderful things I lived throughout my life ended up being overshadowed by that gray cloud of not feeling I was worthy, and that you want to get rid of that cloud. That cloud you don't want. You don't want.
So I'm gonna put the link to your book in the comments of YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you have any question for Gisèle, please, please, please tag Gisèle. Reach out to her on her Facebook. Her Facebook profile is the main place where you hang out, right? I'm just gonna put your book here too. The Me I Once Was.
Yes.
Um, and so now the link is right there.
And actually, I found it on Amazon FR too in France. My niece
Oh,
bought
you
it in
found
France.
it?
Yeah, I did find it.
Okay, great.
So it's on
Okay.
.com, it's on .ca,
All
and I
right.
found it on .fr, but I don't know. Yeah. So.
Okay, let's celebrate you again. To you.
Woo!
Whoop, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come
Yeah.
on. Show me.
I
Show
know I
me.
don't have my
Show
little
me.
stickers. I said I would buy them. I didn't do
Yeah,
that
you
yet. I'll have
deserve
to
some
go buy them.
pompons. You deserve
Yes,
some pompons.
yes. Pom
Gisèle,
pom.
anything else you want to close with? The floor is yours.
I've said it all, and what I haven't said, you'll read about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, yeah.
All
Again,
right.
what's important is that I had a very good life. I had a lot of success, but I missed out on it because I didn't do this. I didn't take this journey of believing in myself, loving myself, knowing my value. So there, that's it.
All right.
Okay.
Gisèle, congratulations. And it
Thank
is
you.
just the first interview of many more. You will be interviewed. If you know a space for Gisèle to introduce her book online, offline, you live in Ontario, but you have a very anchored presence in New Brunswick where you spend a lot of years. That's where we met. So we're talking about Canadian provinces here. And, or it could be online, book clubs, like reach out to Gisèle. She is learning the rope of launching a book, and she's
Yeah.
open for anything that could get that book in the hands of as many people who deserve to read that book right now in their life. So thank you, Gisèle.
Merci. Thank you.